सूरज चाँद रहेगा, प्रणब मुखर्जी अमर रहे, प्रणब मुखर्जी अमर रहे, जब तक सूरज चाँद रहेगा, जी का नाम रहेगा, प्रणब मुखर्जी अमर रहे, प्रणब जी अमर रहे।
तो ये तस्वीरें आप देख पा रहे थे जिसमें कि अमर रहे के नारों के बीच, प्रणब मुखर्जी अमर रहे के नारों के बीच उनके पार्थिव शरीर को ले जाया जा रहा था। और ये लगातार हम सुबह से आपको दिखा रहे हैं किस तरह से राष्ट्रपति, उपराष्ट्रपति, प्रधानमंत्री और तमाम गणमान्य लोग जो हैं वो उन्हें श्रद्धा सुमन अर्पित करने के लिए पहुंचे। और अब से कुछ देर पहले ही
Pranab Mukherjee, the former president and Bharat Ratna, who passed away on Monday at the Army's Research and Referral Hospital in the national capital, hours after his health deteriorated from suffering a septic shock due to his lung infection. And he was admitted in the Army hospital on the 10th of August. As we are getting pictures of the full state honors that has been accorded to the former president. Nalini, what happens from here on? There was an 1 hour public tributes that were also allowed, and where is his mortal remains headed now?
The former president have just left from his residence and they are headed towards the Lodhi Crematorium, where the final rites will be held of the former president Pranab Mukherjee. And of course, throughout the morning we have seen several official dignitaries come and pay their last respects to him, along with the last 1 hour where we've seen also several common people. Now of course a lot of people are not being allowed to go here, keeping in mind the COVID protocols and also the aspect of social distancing, which is why they are trying to ensure that no crowd is gathered anywhere. So very few people have been allowed to go and pay their last homage to Pranab Mukherjee. But at the same time, there is an outpouring of love and grief that we are seeing on various social media platforms, where people are talking about what a massive loss this is to the country, the former president having passed away, and not just to the Congress party but to the entire country. Remember, Pranab Mukherjee was of course the first of his kind in many ways, not just the fact that he had addressed the RSS cadre, but this is essentially an end of an era, because he was probably the last of his kind of politics.
Nalini, continue speaking, please, because it was being said that it will be post 2 p.m. when the cremation will be taking place. And 10 Rajaji Marg is actually not that far off from the Lodhi Crematorium.
Yes, absolutely correct, Amita. It's not very far. Within about 10 minutes, I think we can expect for him to reach Lodhi Crematorium. Also because he is not being taken in a gun carriage, as is the usual protocol, but is actually being taken in a hearse car. And all of these precautions are being taken, keeping only in mind the fact that the pandemic is going on and they need to take precautions pertaining to that. That is also why we had seen there were specific time slots that were allotted to all the official dignitaries to come and lay the wreath and pay their last respects. So we've seen everybody from the Defence Secretary to the Home Secretary, the Defence Minister, Prime Minister of the country, along with the President and the Vice President themselves, who've come here today in the morning and paid their last respects to Pranab Mukherjee. And now, just in a short while from now, behind us on the road is where his residence is. And just in a short while from now, he, along with his family members, is going to be taken in a hearse vehicle to the Lodhi Crematorium, where the final rites are going to take place. So like I was stating earlier, Pranab Mukherjee has been a stalwart of the kind of politician that he has been across this entire time, ever since from the time of Indira Gandhi. He's played a very pivotal role in several prime ministers' tenures, including that of Indira Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi, Dr. Manmohan Singh under the Congress rule, and of course it's a well-known fact as to how close Pranab Mukherjee was to Narendra Modi. But at the same time, there was a time period when Pranab Mukherjee had distanced himself from the Congress after Indira Gandhi was assassinated. But being a congressman at heart, he found his way back to the party, and he has stayed strong there ever since the time that he's come back in 1969. In fact, he was responsible for Sonia Gandhi being brought to the presidentship of the Indian National Congress, which goes on to show as to not only how much Sonia Gandhi relied on him while he was a Congress leader, but also how influential he was within the Congress party. In fact, it is popularly said that when Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister, the person who he used to take the most directions from and advice from was, in fact, Pranab Mukherjee. So that's the kind of persona that he had. Across party lines, politicians would respect him because of the statesman that he was, and that is also why he served as such a successful president, not only in the UPA era, but also after the Modi government came into power. So that is essentially the kind of person that Pranab Mukherjee was, which can also be seen from the severe loss that the people in this country are facing. Even people who have not met him feel like the loss is personal to them, because of just a childlike smile that Pranab Mukherjee had any time that anybody would talk to him. And his sincere nature, his down-to-earth, calm attitude is something that people always appreciated. So in just a short while from now, we can expect for the final journey of this former president to begin. He will be taken to Lodhi Crematorium, where the final rites will take place. It's not going to be a very long function at the Lodhi Crematorium as well, keeping in mind that the protocol needs to be followed.
So the final journey has begun. Nalini is there with us. So is Aishwarya joining us here on the broadcast, because citizen Mukherjee, or a people's president, bringing sweeping changes to the Rashtrapati Bhavan as well. The moment he took over, Aishwarya, there has been many feats that Pranab Mukherjee had achieved, not just as a politician, but also as a former president as well.
Pranab Mukherjee's passing away is an end of an era for Indian politics, because it's not only about the kind of politics he did, it is also about his very fact that he was ready to leave the Congress party but then not compromise on his principles. That is how clear he was, that what kind of a politics, what kind of a legacy he wants to leave behind, what kind of politics he would want to do. He was given an opportunity to even become a Prime Minister of India, but at the end of the day, there were certain compromises which were required from him, to which he clearly denied. And then, because of internal politics of the Congress party, he never held the top position. But at the end of the day, once in the history of independent India, that any minister, any cabinet minister, apart from the Prime Minister, has been heading more than 24 GOMs, and that was Pranab Mukherjee. If that is any kind of a signal of his intellect, if that is any kind of an indication that what a man he was, and it is not only about his political career, personally as well. Anyone who has come in any kind of a contact with him, I've had personal contacts with him when he was the finance minister, foreign minister, defense minister. We've covered him. He would always want to give back to the society. Even after becoming the president of India, Bharat Ratna Pranab Mukherjee always, every year during Durga Puja, went back to his hometown, did his rituals. He was the head priest of his village temple. Very, very, very few people know that. And he used to perform that puja on his own. So he was very clear on his principles. He was very clear what kind of politics he would want to do. He was very clear what he wants to achieve in life. He said, I would only want to do things from which people of this country can benefit. And also, it is not only about a distinguished politician, it is also about a first-hand account of India's growth story, Amita, for the last 5 decades. We are talking about a man who was right behind driving India towards these developments for the last 5 decades, 50 years, ever since 1969. He has been active in politics. Though certain people raise questions that he's never been a mass leader,